I think my phone call it doesn't stop on the 4th of May. It doesn't stop. It came the whole day. So I was tired of picking up my phone because I was also running to save my life.
Instead of going to the place where I dream of, will you be happy standing in the front line, safeguarding your village, your parents, the children's? I don't think so they will be happy.
What is the purpose of getting education if I lost my parents? What is the purpose of getting education if I lost my community? What dignity will I get if my sisters from Hmar, Kuki, Zo community are being paraded naked?
To be honest, out of 100, 90% of the people who flee in Imphal Valley, they flee for their life without any documentations. Yes, some of the people from Meitei community also struggles. But I don't want to put up in an equal level with the tribals. I think the UGC completely failed the peoples of the Kuki, Zo and Mars.
Okay, so we are trying our best to make the problems of the student known to them.
We would rather be happy to be a free dog than to be a dog tied up in a king's yard.
It took the bone-chilling video of two tribal women being paraded naked for those in power to finally speak about Manipur. The state has been burning for over 3 months, yet Delhi either maintains selective silence or makes ambiguous statements while continuing to blame everyone who is raising questions. Over the past few weeks, we have heard shocking stories and testimonies of death, rape, assault and displacement. Yet, we are no closer to peace than we were on May 4. If those in power cannot initiate efforts for peace, maybe it is time the common folks take the mantle to restore peace. And hence, I'm glad to welcome students and student leaders from the indigenous communities to explore how the current situation in Manipur has affected them and ask whether peace can prevail amid such conditions. I have with me Dr. Professor George Sauntak, Vice President of Kuki Students Association, Guwahati, Mr. Mike Haokip, Vice President of KSO Imphal, and Grace Parmwi, lawyer and member of the Hmar Students Association. Thank you and welcome to EastMojo, and thank you so much for joining us today. My first question would be, when one steps out of home for either higher education, there is hope of earning a respectable living and doing something for one's parents, if not for the community. Grace, I want to hear from you on how the situation in Manipur has directly or indirectly impacted the numerous students, and I'm sure you have come across a lot of them who are here in Guwahati because of the situation, impacted them because of what's happening in Manipur.
Yes, thank you for your question. When one steps out from the home, like our parents sent us with a lot of expectations, and even we as a students, we go out to study and to experience so that we can achieve something in our life. We have goals, we have got many things to achieve in our life, but the tragic incident which happened in Manipur has turned the education system or the education which the students are pursuing out there in Manipur into futile, total futile. The education purpose is totally zero as of now. What is the purpose of getting education if my parents are lost? If I lost my parents, what is the purpose of getting education if I lost my community? What dignity will I get if my sisters from Hmar, Kuki, Zo community are being paraded naked along the mob? So I would like to say the education system which the Constitution of India has enshrined for all the citizens under Article 21A, it has been totally violated. The right to education mentioned under Article 21A has been not achieved at all. The students over there has not been able to entitle that right.
Mike, I would like to come to you with the same questions. You represent the Kuki Students Organization in Imphal. I'm sure there was a lot of students from the Kuki community who were there in Imphal studying and who were hopeful that they will have a bright future ahead of them. But because of the situation, things turned haywire, and I'm sure you've come across a lot of people who had to face adverse conditions. So what is your input on this?
Okay, thank you, sir, for having us here. So actually, as you have said, I'm from Imphal. Obviously, working for the welfare of those students in Imphal. So since this violence broke out on 3rd of May, there are lots of students in Imphal who came for their higher education, post or undergraduate, graduate, and then since these things have started, there were lots and lots of calls from those students. So they are in every nook and corner of Imphal. So see now, their condition are, how to say, in a very pathetic condition. They left Imphal in the midst of their study. Some has to do their final years, some in the freshers. And then see, I have heard a news about one of my sister in my locality. She is doing this PhD research in MU. Now her condition is that she escaped from this MU, and after escaping from MU, she has to leave for Delhi, and then I think right now she is working in this call center because they don't have any options, they don't have any earnings, so just to make ends meet,
and also they cannot depend on their parents because there are a lot of people whose livelihood has been completely destroyed. It's uncertain. So now basically a lot of students are on their own.
They are standing on their own feet now because their parents cannot cannot receive their incomes anymore. So as you know, the condition in Manipur and Imphal, there are no government servants are going for the office work, so there are no incomes anymore. So they have to go for searching for livelihood now, right? And then lots of people are not well-to-do family, as per this information. So especially for them, it is very hard because they are now in the middle of nowhere. They cannot go front, they cannot go back, so they are just stuck there. I think they have to wait for these things to calm down, and just saying that, we have to know that they will lose many years, and years for these students, years and time is very important.
Mike, just to add on to the question further, so were there any distress calls from students who were studying in Imphal that you received during during the initial days of violence?
I think my phone call doesn't stop on the 4th of May. It doesn't stop. It came the whole day. So I was tired of picking up my phone because I was also running to save my life. I was inside the CRP camp. There's nothing I couldn't do. So, but then I talked with the higher authority, some MLS from our community, and then they arranged some buses, some vehicles, so that we can evacuate them to a safety place. And then most of the students, they left in a hurry. So lots of them lost their certificates. Many are burnt. So KSO headquarters now.
During that time, during the initial days of violence, so documentation or anything was not in the priority list. It was first of all to save their own lives, of course, right?
When it comes to person, life is the most important thing. So that's why they just leave those stuff behind, and then now we are really struggling. For those students who lost these documents.
Dr. George, I would like to come to you on this. So, as a student leader and also a professor who's representing community in Guwahati here, you must have come across a lot of students who are studying here and who have been in Guwahati. We get a lot of students, because there are not much opportunities in their respective states. So it's like a hub for students to pursue education, further education, and build a bright career maybe. So what was the situation like, and the kind of situation that you came across from students who were here in Guwahati?
To be honest, the conditions of the students from Manipur who are seeking asylums in Guwahati, they are in a very poor conditions. In other terms, we could say that it's a very pathetic conditions, because we cannot go around. Even though I'm a student leader, I cannot go around to some of the CBSE schools or some of the state-run schools just to get admission for my papers, right? So without any documentations, if I go around to so nobody is willing to give us admissions without any documentations. And for the documentations, we need to go to Imphal again. And if we are planning to go back to Imphal, it simply means that we are giving our life in vain, because we cannot go back to the place where we are being killed and tortured. Imphal Valley once was a place where we live together and eat together, and we spend the moments together. But here, as per the violence begins with those state-sponsored terrorists and all those, I could say the psychological and emotionally blackmail youths who are being employed in the Imphal valleys. They are really disturbing and making the life of the tribal people in a very most difficult way. So when the tribal people from the Imphal Valley flee to the neighboring states, whether it may be Assam or Nagaland or Mizoram, to be honest, out of 100, 90% of the people who flee Imphal Valley, they flee for their life without any documentations of their educational backgrounds or educational certificates. So it's very challenging. In one way, we can hardly adjust for some peoples because they are from CBSE. But from those people who are from the state board, it's very difficult to manage it, because they are not ready to accept those people who are from the state, Manipur state boards. For CBSE, in one way or the other, we can find a way out. But the challenging thing here is, in Manipur, either we are in the state board or the other board, we have our own subjects in class 9 and 10. We call it Thado Kuki or Hmar or Paite or whatever it might be.
The native languages.
Yes, but here, this opportunity or the privilege that we got here has been replaced by Assamese and Hindi, which we are very weak at it. So for the students who are continuing their class 9 and 10 in Guwahati with those new subjects which were introduced, like a subject called Assamese or Hindi, I think it's for them, it's next to impossible to clear their class 10 or 12.
Okay. And also, I'm sure that was what the kind of situation that we saw in Guwahati was irrespective of which community they were from. I mean, the people who had moved to Guwahati from both the communities were affected equally, I believe. And I'm sure you've come across people from both communities struggling, at least they who were displaced and were struggling to pursue further education as well.
To be honest, both the communities, either the tribals or the Kukis or Mars or the Métis, yes, some of the peoples from Métis community also struggles. But I don't want to put up in an equal level with the tribals, because we are being asked to leave our homes. And during this ethnic violence happening in the Imphal Valley, to be honest, the truth is that in Janims, in Rims, and in some of the institute which were being in Imphal Valley, the class has been continuously happening. It's an happening things without the tribal students. Without the tribal students, when I say the tribal students, I particularly means the Kuki, Zo, and Mars. So some are in their second years of MBBS. Some are in the final years of MBBS. Some are in their in the verge of submitting their thesis in Manipur University. I have some juniors there who are doing a PhD, and then they are in the verge of submitting their PhD research, which is the one of the most fruitful periods in the area of research or in the journey of a research scholar. So, but now the state government has conducted even exams for the state universities, that DM college and all those things, and Jenims and Rims. The classes are still going on without the presence of the Kukizos tribers. So how are we going to say that we suffer equally in that conditions?
So, see, for college goers, that the condition was different. For those who are studying in school, it is very difficult to get admission in a different school in a different state in the middle of a session. So, and because of this, I think a lot of school-going children are also, and their parents as well, are also facing a lot of problem because of this.
Yes, definitely. Most of the parents are in very difficult situations, and the thing is that what the parent can do is that they can even give their life for their children. Just for the sake of children educations, they can even take them to wherever they can get a proper educations. But it's very sad thing to say that in some of the valley inhabited places, the schools are being reopened, and there is a continuous class are going on, and even they are appearing for exams, even in the high schools, but not in the hill tribals area. That is a very challenging things that the tribals are facing.
Yes, in fact, see, Manipur, especially in the hills, there is hardly any prospect of higher education. The medical college in Churachandpur was was opened very recently. So, with the current situation, how do you see the future of those who once used to study in colleges in Imphal, and after all, not every Kuki or Naga, for that matter, can simply leave Imphal and move out of the state, right? And it is not, given because everything has been affected, be it education, be it economy, not everyone, and the livelihoods as well. It is not possible for all of them to travel to other states and pursue their studies.
See, most of the youngsters, those who are in the teenage, let's say class 9, 10, 11, 12, and in their undergraduate course, let's say BA, BSc, first year, second years, these age groups, they are the most very sensitive. They are the most sensitive age groups, because this, in psychological terms, we call it the age where they face a career crisis the most. So when they are in this stage where they frequently face a career crisis, now in the midst of all those the career crisis faced by the youngsters, in the midst of that, this violence came into being again. So they are, psychologically, physically, socially, and spiritually being traumatized, and they are being snatched away from the place where they once were, and they are put into the place where they hardly want to be. So, as being a college-going students, or as being a medical students who, which I see my future in the hospital or in some of the reputed medical colleges, or as being a research scholar, which I see my future in some of the reputed universities. Instead of going to the place where I dream of, will you be happy standing in the front line, safeguarding your village, your parents, the children's? I don't think so they will be happy. But just for the sake of doing it, so that their parents can be safe from the peoples who are attacking them, they are doing it. So I think this ethnic cleansings that has been happening in Manipur has put the students in the place where they don't want to be. And it puts a fire up in their career crisis. So I think they are facing two very challenging things in their life. And I don't know what is the state government doing now.
Mike, I would like to come you on on this. So you were in Imphal during the initial days of violence. So since, like George said that because of the crisis, a lot of them had to forget about their education since there was no option. They had to choose to defend their villages and defend the people. So is there any way that they can come back from that situation and and pursue their education further, and will that ever be possible? What is your take on this?
That according to my opinion is that depends on the family condition, say family financial condition. Some well-to-do family may be able to leave Manipur and go for Delhi, Guwahati for the further studies. But then say there are families who live with a hand-to-mouth condition. So for those students, it is very hard to leave Manipur and manage. So I think some students who are poor, financially poor, they have no other options, but then they have to stay back and join their brothers in defending their lands, our lands. So I think that's the only option for them.
And it takes a mental toll on your mental health as well.
Yes.
Because that's a very, like George also said, that's a very sensitive age group, and when you see such things, it affects you mentally and it stays with you for a longer period of time, right? Grace, I would like to ask your comment on this. So once you have I'm sure you have also come across a lot of distressed students here in Guwahati who have either moved from Manipur, or who were already studying here and their families have been affected. So what kind of situation were they facing during the initial days?
The people or the students who came from Imphal or who came from the valleys, the government instigates them to drive away from the valleys. We do not have any other option or any other way out except to escape from the valley in order to save our lives, live about education. The only thing we were concerned was saving our own lives. So what we need to keep in mind is, even if a single rail engine fails, the whole track it fails, and it can take many lives. And what happens is, like, in order to put that track together on the line, it takes months and months. So this double engine, the thing which is going on out there in Manipur, this has not only tacked up on mortality, not only on assaulting the women, the children, or the people who are living out there, but it has been resulted even in the heinous crime, or we can say even in the inhuman atrocities, like the two sisters who they have paraded naked, which has ultimately caused a lot of mentally disturbing to the people of Manipur in particular, and as a nation in a whole. Actually, the nation is watching us. Along with that, the world is also judging us. So ultimately, what the students of the people who came from the valley, we can imagine actually what they will be going through in this situation. So the purpose of coming back from the valley was just to save their lives, because we do not have any other option.
Okay, so see, with the situation also came demand for a separate administration.
Yes.
Let's assume that if the government agrees for the separate administration demand or the separate state
Yes.
demand, it could take years to develop the hill district to become educationally independent.
Yes.
Don't you think that we are not looking at an immediate solution when it comes to education, and it will take years for students at least the education sector to get back on track?
Okay, so according to this, so like no one goes and no one comes with a sickle when we sow a saplings or a plant. So there's a saying, the way you sow, that shall you reap. So if we want a big shady tree, then we need to start planting a sapling. So no matter what the situation is, we have to start from the saplings in order to get a very big shady tree later on. The situation has put us in this trauma and this situation where we should be, and we are ready to tackle all these things and to face all the negative impacts as well, as long as we will be getting a separate administration. We would rather be happy to be a free dog than to be a dog tied up in a king's yard.
George, I would like to hear your take on this.
Firstly, people blame the Kukizos and Hmar tribers for demanding a separate administrations. The thing is that it is not we who demands the separate administrations. From the beginning, we lived together as a brother with our valley people, the Meitei peoples, and now, out of sudden, that happens in May, I guess, right? So, so they snatch us out from the valley, and see, in the valley, most of the people, most of the tribers who stayed in the valleys, most of the peoples, as per my knowledge and as per my non-peoples, most of the people who settle down in Imphal valleys are yet to retire or a retired person from the government posts.
Okay.
And then they have gathered all their wealth and all their, economical belongings in one generations to pile up for their retirement process. And now, out of sudden, they have been, chased away from the place where they tried to live or tried to stay for their retirement life. And now, when we think critically, it is not the tribers that who live and demand the separate administrations, but it is the Meitei who said, you are not welcome to live among the Meiteis. So go away from the Meitei areas and live in the separate areas.
Okay, but so coming back to the educational aspect, do you think the central education agencies like the UGC, they did enough to raise students' concern during the turmoil, or do you think they failed completely?
To be honest, I should say, in this ethnic violence that broke up in Manipur, looking at the conditions of most of my peers who are in Manipur universities and who are in the state-run universities and colleges, I think the UGC completely failed the peers of the Kukizo and Hmars. Because not only the students, even those professors who are working in the Manipur universities and the universities which is a state-run universities, they can't even protect the professors who are working there. Even the professors should, need to take his wife, children, and flee from Manipur in order to save their lives. So, till now, the UGC has done nothing for those displaced professors and students from the MU and the affiliated colleges in Manipur. So, looking at this perspective, I think the UGC need to work on it for the future careers of the tribers who are undergoing or experiencing this ethnic violence in Manipur.
Okay, Mike, I would like to come you in this as on this, since you were in Imphal. So do you also agree with George here that the UGC completely failed in protecting not just the students but also the teachers or professors?
So when it comes to UGC, we are trying our best as a case. So we are trying our best to how to say make the problems of the student known to them. We are submitting memorandum and all those things that needs to be done. And it is my sincere belief that they will work for the welfare of the students who are affected by the violence. So just from my experience, I would like to say that I would like to appeal to the UGC from your channel that they kindly, how to say, work for the students who are facing problems from this violence. So I believe the UGC will do more for the students. That's my hope.
Ms. Grace, do you think that this is the time when all the states,
Yes.
especially the northeastern states,
Yes.
since we are considered seven sisters and a brother, should come together to at least provide some reconciliation for the students in terms of education and also a helping hand, in fact? What is your take on this?
Yes, when it comes to an education, since the children of today are tomorrow's leaders, education is the most valued thing in our life. If there is no education, we cannot prosper in our life. So I feel and I definitely believe in whatever you asked me right now, that all the northeastern sisters or a brother should come together as a one in order to provide all the things, like be it in education or be it in anything, in any kind of assistance, would really be grateful enough to them.
George, see, for someone who's been in Guwahati, see, because before the situation turned violent, I believe I have a lot of friends from both the communities. I have friends from the Meitei community as well as Kuki community and a lot of Nagas as well. Before the situation turned violent, they remained friends, and a lot of them still are. Do you think that the mistrust that has been created because of the current situation is going to remain among the students as well for a longer period of time?
To be honest, from the psychological points of view, I think this trust and mistrust, or that has been created by the community towards the other communities, I think this has two impacts. One is the short-term impacts, and one would be the long-term impacts. And I think this will have more long-term impacts than the short-term ones, because today, for example, a friend of mine said the one who used to repair the TV cables, in their village now is holding an automatic weapons and coming to their village and attacking them. So now I think even by seeing peoples like them, I think the mistrust is going to be rise in between these two communities, to be honest. But the teachings that we believe in the Christianity, as most of the tribals are Christians, we always believe in repaying evil with goods. So we are doing that the best we can. So we are trying to repay back the evil with goods, and I don't know how far we can do it, but we are still trying it. And we are doing this so that we can at least remove the mistrust that create a distance between us.
I would also like to go back to the previous question on UGC. So, like you said, the machinery has completely failed. So,
let me just take you over.
please.
Yes. See, we have come across most of the displaced students from MU, and as a student organization from Guwahati, we were being responsible for those students for a quite period of times, and then we have an interview with some of the news channels with those students from MU. And see, they were staying in the hostel, and even those boys, a group of mobs, they entered in the ladies' hostel, and they were looking for a Kuki, Hmar tribal girls in the hostels. So I think that kinds of physical assault or physical abuse, even in the hostels, which is not a simple hostel, which is central university hostels. How can I say that they still, or they doesn't fear it when they completely fail it? And what will the UGC doing when most of the students in MUs, especially from my communities, when they are not able to submit their dissertations or their thesis? What are the people in the higher position doing? And these people are scattered around. They cannot even continue. For example, let's say those people who are, in the science and other social science streams, we are not well to do with any other gadgets and software things. So whatever, as per my experience, so whatever we have collected the data, we save in the laptops. And once the laptop has been burned, all the data has been lost. So where am I going to draw back all the data which I have formulated in my data analysis and then go to the office and submit it? So for them, they need to restart their process of data collection again. So what will be the UGC doing in these current situations? That would be a great, question marks that we have now at present.
But yes, but at the same time, we have not, come across any kind of initiative from the state government either. Do you think that there is no intention from the state government, especially the Manipur government, on restoring normalcy, at least for the students?
See, if you look back to the violence happening in Manipur, it is the so-called ethnic violence. So here in this ethnic violence, I think the state government has a big role to play. And from the tribals' perspective and from the tribals' eyes, when I see the ethnic violence, I think the government is the kingpins who is, igniting all this violence in Manipur. And the government himself, the CM Biren Singh government himself, they are being responsible for the state-sponsored terrorists. So which has been a claim of many of the tribals in many of the newspapers and in many of the news channels. And even in most of the interviews, they have mentioned this. So I think when the states are being responsible for, igniting all this violence and ethnic cleansings towards a particular communities, I think we don't have any trust on the government. And to be honest, we don't trust a Biren government at all.
Okay. One final question, and this is for all three of you, in fact. So, will there be ever a day when, both the communities, right now, I would like to hear your perspective, decide to forgive and forget and live and, together peacefully? Will there be ever such a day? Micah?
Okay. As of now, as we all know, the tension is high. But for the future, speaking about the future, I don't think this tension between us and the Meitei Kukis and Meiteis, I don't think this will de-escalate now, because this generation will not forget what the Meiteis did to us. There are no equal sufferings in Manipur right now. As many have said, Meiteis and Kukis suffer equally. And I don't condone that theory, okay? Because from More, from Chuchampur, there are Meiteis. There are there are thousands of them, I know, but then in Imphal, there are more than 30,000-40,000 of us who are trapped on the 4th of May, and the CRPF came and Indian Army came. So when you speaking about property, okay, when you talk about property, the property of us and them there is a big gap and differences. So, and then the how to say this mental torture and this stuff. No, I don't think how to say this generation will forget. I don't believe, because this is a very how to say horrific event that's unfolding. We don't even believe it, just like a dream, a nightmare that we cannot awaken to. So when how to say this how to say when the next generation came, I think if the parents, if the senior people are how to say wise enough to educate their how to say children with a good moral in life, I think there will be a peace and how to say friendship that had been lost. There can be a reparation again. So, but as of now, I think the scar is how to say too deep and the wound is too deep. I don't think as of now, for me, speaking as a victim of the violence, I don't think I'll be able to forget all those stuff, because there are lots of babies and grandparents now who are suffering, and seeing them with your own eyes, it is very how to say torture mentally. So for me, I think I will not forget what happened to us and what happened to my people.
Grace, your words on this.
Again, thank you for the question, sir. I'm not a politician. I'm not a sheer. I'm just your daughter, the daughter of this land, to comment on this. The first thing which I would like to address to our Honorable Prime Minister is to govern the country, but not to command. To run the country and not to rule. So, coming back to your question, will there be will there be peace again, and will we forget and forgive the people of Manipur? So, talking about the present scenario, I think the wounds, the scars are too deep enough to overcome the agony which the people went through, the trauma which they went through. I think this will not be a thing to just forget in one night or in 1 year. It might take decades and decades, generation to generation. But if the government gives us a separate administration, I definitely believe there will be a peace in Manipur.
George, your take on this. Do you believe the same?
To be honest, peace is the things that we need, but it's a very far away things at the present moments. It doesn't mean that we don't want peace. We want peace, but at this present conditions, we don't want to talk about peace, because peace should come with the things that we want in returns. So let the peace comes with a separate administrations. So we are ready to, welcome and uphold the peace when we are offered along with separate administrations. Otherwise, we have, lost too much in this violence. And then, it came like a tsunami, and then it just keep on going on. It just keep going on. So I think the damage done by the violence in Manipur, the ethnic cleansing violence, is unbearable. So people from the Plan and the Meitei community, they act like not like a humans. It's a very inhuman, behaviors that they are, showing to us by doing certain evil things to our children and daughters. So I think if peace comes with what we want in return, then we are ready to accept peace. Otherwise, I think it's not a right time to talk peace for us, because the wound is too deep.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today at EastMojo and sharing all your valuable inputs. And also thanks to all our viewers for joining us at EastMojo. And I hope through this conversation we have been able to comprehend the gravity of the situation in Manipur and its impact on the students. But it is only through dialogue and mutual understanding that we can find a way forward. I'm Kalyan Deb, signing off. Thank you for watching.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to EastMojo. For any queries, put them down in the comments section below and press on the bell icon for notifications.